Hello everyone, so today we're going to be going over my deck profile that I used in the most recent Fabledgaming TCG. This deck profile I got second place in for the rounds. I went up against quite a few. After I go through the deck profile, I'll tell you which decks I went through and what happened. But first I'm going to go through the option cards. Just because those are kind of some of the unique ones. I have one Crimson Blaze. I have two Red Scrambles. Three Sistermon in training, or Sistermon Sisters Training Gym. And three from Masters to Disciples. These two I keep at this amount because you can bounce off with them together and make an insane combo. So those are the options. I have four Goreemons, the BT8 Goreemons that lets you, if you have 6,000 DP or more, draw one when you're attacking. I felt this one was more applicable because for the most part, either you get blocked or you take out more security, so the Coromon wasn't applicable because the Coromon's there for you to hit one, draw a card, hit one, draw a card, hit one, draw a card. This one lets you hit, keep attacking even if they're blocking and still draw a card because by the time you're attacking, this is applicable with at least the way I play this deck. Now on to the rookies. The level 3s. I play 4 of the new BT23 Huckmon, so got 4 of those there. This helps search and get you 2 cards on average. It's 2. 1 Huckmon, 1 Sistermon, and 1 Royal Knight. It does count from Masters to Disciple because it's Royal Knight in trait. So you can get this card. And you could technically get you can also get the Sistermon's Sister Training. So you can get these two along with searching with this card. So I have this one at 2 of. I have 4 Huckmons set up of BT20. This is good for gaining those memory gains. You don't usually run tamers in this deck, so this helps with memory gain. If you have 1 in raising and you play one on your first turn, that is actually really good because you get 2 more memory as well as 2 more draws. Then I have 2 of the BT6 Huckmon because this is another search, draw 2, or pull 2 for the most part. It doesn't pull the option cards, unfortunately, but it can pull everything else that's in this deck. So that's awesome. Except for 2 of my top ends. It can pull everything but 2 of the top ends. So that's why I have this at 2 and not 4 like the other one. Then I have 1 of the Sistermon Blanc. This one is another trash, draw 2. Gotta get the pieces as fast as possible. That's what this deck is all about. This does have a decoy, which I did use against Begidramon, I believe, once. But he still was able to take out the rest of the deck. And then, literally, the powerhouse of this entire deck is this Sistermon Blanc. Yes, you draw another card from your security, you recover one. But her ability for your turn, when you suspend her, you can Digivolve one of the other Digimon, is just a powerhouse for a majority of this deck. This deck is super fast because of her, and I can get up to 4 or 5 checks per swing with her specifically. Obviously, we have the 1 token. I don't think you need more than 1 because you don't, but it's cool to have more than 1 if you have it. I then play the second powerhouse of this entire deck, Bao Huckmon. Oh my goodness, this card, yes, it's a little older, it's BT13, 10 sets ago. and it's still just super fast, super consistent. Digivolve into your next step, and so on. Then I have two of Sistermon CL Awakens. This one is another one where, specifically during my fight against Roman Knights, having two of them to just keep on recurring my security, playing Sistermon Blanc, and then going back into her and doing a full cycle where I can keep up my security was super nice. Sistermon CL BT6, gain a memory, awesome card. I was able to keep turn because of her quite a bit when I went into Jesmon. Then two of the Sistermon CL BT23. I am thinking about moving her up to 3, but currently her Digivolve helped me out with a ton of fights, especially against the Jesmon Mirror. It helped me with a few others. Her on-play delete one helped me against the Megidra. It was awesome to play that. Then for the last level 4s are the Biohuck from BT20. These ones can play her for 1 for the most part, and you can play her for another technical 1, which actually increases your attack power. So there's some combos with the level 4s and level 3s, which is why I'm playing quite a 13 level 4s and I think 12 or 11 level 4s. And then playing Savior Hawk, really good, especially for, there's one specific gameplay that I did that was insane against Royal Knights because of this card specifically is inherent, and you can play a Sistermon from your hand without paying the cost, which helps you with recursion when you already have Jesmon on the board. Then another powerhouse combo piece is the BT20 Savior Huckmon, delete opponents 5,000 DP or less, which is the same as CL for the most part, and then at the end of turn suspend one of your other Digimon to Digivolve into a Jesmon for free. I am running a tech of Chimeramon. It is one that I'm debating whether or not to keep in the deck or remove, and just to see where things go from the future, I might remove this for another Savior Hawk. I might remove it for something else. I'm still debating on this card staying in the deck. It's nice for having that another swing, but it never came up because I was trying to be super aggressive with this deck and less trying to keep my memory stable. So because I don't have the memory boosts. It would work if I had memory boost, so I wouldn't know. I am running 4 of the new BT23 Jesmon. This Jesmon is insane. Like, they not only when Digivolving can you play a Sistermon, but then when attacking you can play a Sistermon, a token or a Sistermon as well with different names from your board, and that includes, and they have to have different names. So you can play when Digivolving one of these 4. And then when attacking one of these 4. And most likely when you get to him, you already have one of them. So it makes it so you can have up to 4 or 5 Digimon on your board with an insane board state without like making it so your opponent has to answer something. Because when you have that, this is 3 checks right off the bat. When you get him on the board, he should be 3 checks. And you force your opponent to decide whether or not they're going to answer this or go for your security. And if they don't answer this, you have game the next turn. During the Mallow, that's what happened. Last level 6 is Jesmon X Anybody. There was a misplay that I think I should have done differently to have me win the 3rd game with Megidramon instead of swinging into their Growlmon. I swung into their security with 2 checks. If I swung into their Growlmon, they wouldn't have been able to combo off. I would have gotten the 2 checks, and then I could have done my finishing move with the combo instead. So it's rough, but that's why I got second and not first. Now, the last ones are my level 7s, and I have 3 level 7s in this deck. There is one, Omnimon X. Great card for finisher, great to bounce. It's finished off a game for me for Digimon. It was great. Can clear the board for your opponent. Like, usually I was only going up against 1 or 2. It was great. Good counter is Jesmon GX Ace. It's awesome. You can counter a majority of things. When Digimon was attacking, I used it, cleared off the board. They didn't get as many checks as they wanted to off of me, and it saved me that game at least. Now, my favorite level 7 for this deck is Examon. Now, the reason it is Examon and not the other 2 is because Examon can make it so your Jesmon attack can get up to 4 swings. You suspend your opponent's board. Their Digimon can't unsuspend, so you stall them for a turn. So they can't answer Examon that turn unless you cleared them out with Digimon. And then once your opponent's security stack removes, you can then delete one of their option cards, then delete one of their suspended Digimon or Tamers, clearing pretty much the board of any support that they have for anything. That's actually how I beat Aegis Ramon on Game 1 and Game 3 is with Examon. It's insanely powerful. So with that, let me just go over a quick combo that was my generic combo for most of the games this past weekend. I will just all these to the sides so you guys can see them. So first off, I would hatch in the back, Digivolve. Hopefully I would Digivolve into the BT20 Huckmon, and then play either a Searcher or one of the option cards. I would hope for, personally I would want to play either the Sistermon Training or these. If you get enough money or memory for being able to do this, and play both of these, which happened in a turn during Royal Knights, I think is the best. But this you can save for a later turn and do this. They usually set you to 3, so you have these. Because what you can do is set this up correctly where on your turn you would promote. They would set you to, let's say, 2. They set you to do. You then trash the Sistermon you want to play from your hand. So let's do one of the Sistermon CLs. So either one of these CLs. Okay? I prefer this one, but if you have this one, do this one. You trash that, and then you gain a memory, so you're at 3. You then trash this to Digivolve into Bauhuck for 1. Then he Digivolves, you get to trash this, playing your Sistermon. You would then have the opportunity to, 1, gain a memory. So, oh look, you went from 2 up to 3, down to 2, now back up to 3, all within a span of a couple moves. Then you were able to use his effect to Digivolve into him, into Savior Huck. Savior Huck deletes one of your opponent's Digimon, which is awesome and super helpful. And then that would be for 1. Now, if you had Sistermon Awakened, you play for that. So now you're at 1 memory. You're at 1 memory with this board state. What I usually did is if I was at 1 memory, I would either play out the Searcher, or I would play out one of the option cards to do this combo again the next turn. So I would either play out this or this, setting the opponent to 1. Either setting the opponent to 2 or setting the opponent to 1. With the option cards. Now it's the end of turn. End of turn, you can then suspend Sistermon Awakens. When Sistermon Awakens is played also, you stun one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. Or, yeah, they can't suspend. Their Digimon or Tamers can't suspend. She is amazing. You stun your opponent's Digimon, you suspend it, they do all this. Then, Digivolve for free, pretty much. They're at 2 memory. They do that. You can then play out Sistermon Blanc. He sees her played. You gain a memory. So if you're at, you use the option combo, you would be back to 0. You got another thing. He can swing, right? So he swings with Alliance. So you could play another one. Suspend both of these, right? Or go into them. I go into him more often than I go into Sistermon CL if I'm at this point because he can reboot. She's just another deletion. And then I would, because of Sistermon Blanc's ability after recurring and after everything, I can then Digivolve into one of these. And that is on turn 2. And giving them, depending on the different Digimon that you go, this one would be 5, this one would be 5 because of her ability, this one's 4. I prefer doing this. If I didn't have any of these, I would go into X, right? Which then would be for free, still my turn. And then I could go into one of these afterwards to do another, like, I could Digivolve and draw him. I could go into X again. I could do another combo. But if I didn't, and I go into this, that's 4 checks. You stun their entire board with Examon, right? They're set to 4 memory, which is what you would have set, most likely they set to because of their tamers, their memory gain, what have you. You not only then delete an option card, you delete either a tamer or Digimon if they had anything on the board. If they didn't have anything on the board and it was all in breeding, then cool, you have a reboot and you're still threatening game the next turn. And if you had something in the back for whatever reason, you're safe. You're set for another turn. They're stunned. They can't do anything. And then the next turn you unsuspend, do it again. And most of the time, when I had this big of a board going on, they would try to target this card specifically. They would try to delete this. And if they did, I usually used the decoy from this token to then have this level 7 survive, not use it for a blocker. They usually only were able to check 1 or 2. Megidramon was the only one that could check 3 to 4 every single time they swung at me. So that's kind of the gameplay for how this deck ran. I was doing on turn 2 an average of 3 to 4 security checks. Just on turn 2, if I had, I might actually switch this out for maybe an official OTK. We'll, like, switch this Chimeramon with a Digimon that has a security plus inheritable, or put in the Tai Tamer that could give me one thing, 3 memory, which would be insane. Getting that combo was for if they set me to 2 or 1. Get me to 3 memory. That means my whole combo is set on a memory scale of 5, which by the time I have 4, this combo would allowing me to do this and set them to 2 or 3, which is a lot more memory efficient. I'm still playing. I don't know if I like this in there. I have it in there for the Sistermon Blancs and Sistermon Awakens, but it only came into play for one more swing against Royal Knights, and it wasn't even a saving grace swing. It was just a swing to try getting them down to 0 security, so then the next turn I can swing again. But they did some stuff to make it so my board was cleared, or made it so they returned their security. So this deck I enjoyed. I went first. I went against a Mallow Myotismon loop. I went against Then I went Mallow Myotis, Royal Knights, Jesmon, Aegis-Dramon, and then the last one was Megidramon. And the Megidramon is the only one that I lost 2 of. The Mallow Myotis I did 2-0. The first game I was done within a round. Like, I did that 3 checks. They couldn't answer anything on turn 2 on that next turn. And I swung for game. The next one, they almost popped off with their loop. They misplayed one thing to not gain 2 memory. And I was able to swing game that next turn. Royal Knights was probably the most back and forth. It was a 1... I believe it was a 1-0-1. Or... No, I only had 1-0-1. I think it was a 2-0. And the first game lasted 40 minutes. The last game lasted 10. And it was insanely fast. I was obviously a faster deck. They just kept countering me the first 40. And once they were told they were on a rush, it was very different to play. The Jesmon, we just kept going back and forth. Since I had first turn, I was able to push faster on every single time. I think they had the mindset that second turn you could set things up faster. I just knew if I could set things up in the way that I described earlier, the second turn I would have almost done with game, and I would have a blocker. Most likely they didn't have anything with piercing, so it would be just go, 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 go. Aegis-Dramon was another one that had some semblance. They juked me out there on the last turn, hoping that I would think that they had an ace. I had a full board. It's actually on the storefront's Twitch VOD. They had a full board for the last game, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it because I had no answers for them, so I just swung, and that was game. And I was like, okay, cool. Then Megidramon, that was a crazy back and forth. They took a little while for some of their turns, so it was really hard for me to be like, okay, I can do this next turn. What are you gonna do? And they just, for a deck that was supposed to be as fast as this deck, it felt slower with them mechanic, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. But this is my Jesmon deck build. I am super happy that I'm able to do this deck profile for everything, and now it's time to bling this up, and I hope that they don't hit anything in this deck. I think there are 2 cards they might hit, and those ones are obviously the ones that I said they're the powerhouse. This Sistermon and the older, these 2. If they do hit Jesmon has been hit several times in the past, so I don't think it's going to be hit anymore. If they do hit, these 2 are probably going to be the ones that would be hit. But with how often she's in other decks and not causing issues, I don't think she will be. This one might, but then I could switch it up with some other cards and see where things go from there. But thank you for watching. I hope this was informative for those that are thinking about using this for future videos or future tournaments that they're planning to go on. And I will see you guys all again. Thank you. Bye.